Welcome, friend. Come in slowly. There is no hurry here. Nothing is waiting for you on the other side of this quiet. If you came here tonight feeling like you are running late for your own life, you can leave that feeling at the door. It can wait outside. You do not have to bring it to bed with you. Maybe you know this feeling well. It usually comes when the room is dark and the day has gone quiet. The noise of doing finally stops, and in that quiet, a small voice starts to count. It counts the years. It counts the people who seem further ahead than you. It counts the things you thought you would have done by now. And you lie there in the dark, doing the math, measuring the gap between where you are and where you think you should be. I want you to know that I understand this feeling. I am not going to argue with it tonight, and I am not going to scold it. It is one of the most human feelings there is. Feeling behind does not mean something is wrong with you. It means you have been carrying a kind of ruler, a measuring stick that someone handed you a long time ago. You did not choose it. And tonight, you are allowed to put it down. That is what these quiet hours are for. I am not going to tell you to try harder, or catch up, or fix everything before morning. The promise is simpler than that. You are not behind in life, even now, even tonight, with so much still undone. You are not late. You are exactly where someone walking your road would be. And as the night goes on, through these old, slow stories, I hope the part of you that has been racing can finally slow down and rest. There is nothing you need to solve before you are allowed to lie still. Nothing to prove first. You do not have to follow every word. You can drift off and come back, and drift off again. If you fall asleep before the last story, that is not a failure. That is exactly what this is for. Before we go further, let me ask one small thing, and then I will not ask anything else. If you feel like it, you can leave a comment with the time where you are right now and where you are listening from, and maybe one word for what you are setting down tonight. It is a quiet way to know that other tired people are resting in the dark with you, all over the world. If this calm helps you, a gentle like can help it reach someone else who is lying awake too. And if you would like a quiet place to come back to on hard nights, you are welcome to subscribe and rest here again. That is all. There is nothing more you need to do. So let the screen go dim. Let the small lights in the room go soft. Let your phone become just a little warmth in your hand, not a door to the noise of the world, but a small lamp keeping you company in the dark. Let us begin where every tired traveler begins, with the body. Notice, without changing anything, that you are breathing. The breath has been moving all day without your help. It kept going while your mind was busy counting and comparing. It did not ask your permission. It did not care whether you were ahead or behind. It just rose and fell, asking nothing from you. rest your attention on it now, the way you might rest your eyes on a candle, not to control it, just to keep it company. Feel the weight of your body where it meets the bed. Notice how the bed is holding all of you. It does not ask if you did enough today to deserve it. It just holds you. You are allowed to let it. Let your shoulders drop down from up near your ears, where they have been hiding all day. Let the small muscles around your eyes go soft. Let your jaw loosen, even a little. There is nowhere to get to tonight, so there is nothing to brace for. Take one slow breath in, if you would like, and let it out, slowly. Notice that you did not have to fix anything to take that breath. You did not have to be further along in life first. You just breathed, and the air came, and the air left. The same as always. The breath has never once asked you to catch up. It is one of the few things that has only ever wanted you exactly as you are. Right now, in this bed, in this dark. Let me tell you about a small lamp. In the old mountain monasteries, high up where the morning mist comes through the windows, one lamp burned in the doorway of the meditation hall all night long. It was not big. It did not light the whole room. It was just a small flame in a cup of oil, set on a wooden ledge by the door. When new monks arrived, they often worried about that lamp. They thought it was their job to keep it bright, to feed it, to make sure it never went dim, as if the whole night depended on them. But the old teacher told them something they did not expect. The lamp was not there to be worried over, he said. It was there for a gentler reason. A small light does not need to fill the whole night to matter. It only needs to be where it is, burning quietly, so that anyone who wakes up lost in the dark can look toward the door and remember they are not alone. The night is not waiting for the lamp to grow brighter. The night is just glad the lamp is there. I tell you this right at the start because I want you to hold it loosely as we go. You have spent so much of your life believing you must shine brighter, reach further, arrive sooner, before you are allowed to rest. But maybe you are already that small lamp, already burning, already enough to keep the dark company. So for now, there is only this: the breath, still moving on its own, the body being held, and a small flame somewhere in the doorway, asking nothing from you at all. Let that be enough for now, because tonight, slowly and gently, we are going to look at why the idea of being behind may be the heaviest thing you carry and the least true. The breath keeps moving, slow and easy, while that small lamp keeps watch in the doorway. Stay there a moment longer. Let your body sink a little deeper. There is a kind of tiredness that has nothing to do with your muscles. You may be carrying it tonight. It is the tiredness of measuring, of always knowing, in the back of your mind, how far you have come and how far you think you still should have gone. Let us look at that measuring gently, not to fix it, just to understand it, so it loosens its grip. When you lie in the dark and feel behind, something simple is happening. Somewhere inside you, there is a line, a straight line with marks on it, like a ruler. And on that ruler, you have placed all the things a life is supposed to have by a certain age. A good job, someone to share your life with, a home that feels settled, children, maybe, or the freedom of choosing not to have them, some money saved, a feeling that you have become who you were meant to be. And next to each mark, there is an age, a time by which it was all supposed to happen. Then you look at where you actually are on that ruler, and the gap between the two opens up like a cold space in your chest. That gap is what you feel as being behind, but it is not a fact about your life. It is just the distance between your life and a ruler someone handed you long ago. Here is something worth noticing. You did not make that ruler. You were given it. It came to you the way an old measuring stick gets passed down, worn smooth by many hands. Somewhere along the way, you started to believe it was the true shape of a life, the one correct schedule that everyone is secretly following. And so, every night, the small voice picks up that worn stick and lays it against you in the dark and tells you, again, that you fall short. But who decided where the marks go? Who measured the first life and said, this is when love should arrive. This is when the work should be settled. This is the age by which you should have it all figured out? No one did. There was never a meeting where the true schedule of a human life was agreed on and written down. The ruler feels real because so many people are holding the same one. But a thing is not true just because a lot of tired people believe it at the same time. I am not saying your hopes do not matter. The things you long for are real and good. To want love or meaningful work or a settled life is not foolish. It is tender. The problem is not the wanting. The problem is the deadline you have stuck onto the wanting. The belief that each thing must arrive by a certain time, and that arriving later is a kind of failure. Think about where most of those deadlines even came from. Not from anything inside you. They came from the lives you saw around you, from the people who married young, or bought a house early, or seemed to have it all sorted by 30, from the bright pictures on small screens, where everyone shows their best day and hides their hard ones, from a relative who asked, with a kind smile, why you had not done this or that yet. You collected these ages one by one, without meaning to, and stacked them into a timetable. And then you forgot you had built it yourself and started treating it like a law. Notice how much energy that belief takes. Even now, lying still, part of you may be braced, as if worrying hard enough in the dark could make up for lost time, as if the measuring itself were progress. It is not. The measuring is just heavy. It does not move you one step closer to anything. It only presses on your chest and keeps your eyes open long after your body has begged to rest. So, let me ask you something. You do not have to answer tonight. Just let the question float in the room, like the soft ticking of a clock in another part of the house. Present, but no longer urgent. What if there is no line? What if that straight ruler, with its marks and its ages, was never the true shape of your life at all? What if a life does not move along a track, hitting fixed stops at fixed times? What if it grows the way a season grows, or the way water finds its way down a hill, taking the path the land allows? Never once worried that it is slower than the stream in the next valley? You do not have to believe this yet. Belief is not the work of the night. For now, it is enough to loosen your grip on the ruler, just a little, to notice that it is even in your hand. Your fingers have held it so long, they forgot they were holding anything. Let the fingers soften. You can pick it up again in the morning if you want. The world will hand it back to you soon enough. But for these few hours, you are allowed to set it on the floor beside the bed, where it cannot reach you. And notice, as you set it down, how the room seems to widen, how the air comes in a little easier. The distance you felt between where you are and where you should be was never a real distance you had to cross. It was just the length of the ruler, and the ruler is on the floor now. There is no gap to close tonight. There is only this room, this breath, and this body that has carried you through every one of your days, even the slow ones, even the ones you call wasted, which were quietly turning you into someone the rushing person could never become. In a little while, I want to tell you about a gardener and a question a young student once asked him about seeds that would not grow on time. But there is no need to reach for that story yet. For now, let the ruler rest where you put it. Let the breath go on without you. And let yourself begin to wonder, gently, in the soft dark, if maybe you never fell behind at all. Maybe you were just growing on a schedule that was never meant to match anyone else's. The ruler is on the floor now, out of reach. Into the quiet it leaves behind. Let an old story come, the way a story comes to a child at the edge of sleep, asking nothing, just keeping you company. In a valley below one of those mountain monasteries, there was a garden, and an old gardener. He had tended it longer than most of the monks had been alive. He was not a clever man. He did not speak in riddles. He just knew soil and seasons and the slow patience of growing things. Each spring, young monks came down to help him and to learn what the garden could teach. One spring, a young monk came down full of eagerness. He wanted to do everything well and fast. He planted his rows of seeds with great care. He watered them, and he waited. Within a week or two, some of the seeds pushed green shoots up through the dark soil, reaching for the light. The young monk was delighted. He felt he was good at this. But in one corner of his plot, nothing came up. He had planted those seeds at the same time, in the same soil, with the same water. Yet that corner stayed bare and brown, day after day. He knelt beside it and stared, and felt that cold space open in his chest. The same feeling you know so well. These seeds are behind, he thought. Something is wrong with them. Something is wrong with me, that I could not make them grow on time. He started to fuss over the bare corner. He watered it more than the rest, until the soil turned heavy and sour. He pressed his fingers into the earth to check if the seeds were still there, and disturbed them. He even thought about digging them up and throwing them out, and planting faster seeds instead. Seeds that would not embarrass him by being late. The old gardener watched all this for a few days and said nothing. Finally, he crouched down beside the young monk at the edge of the bare corner. He did not look worried. He looked almost fond. The way you look at someone you love who is suffering over something small. You are asking the wrong question, he said. You keep asking why these seeds are behind the others, but these seeds are not racing the ones beside them. They have never once looked over and felt ashamed. Each seed carries its own time inside it, folded up small, the way a whole tree is folded inside an acorn. Some open quickly. Some need a long season in the dark before they are ready to rise. The slow ones are not failing. They are doing the quiet work the fast ones skipped. The young monk did not understand. Then they are lazy, he said. They are wasting the spring. The gardener shook his head. Come back at the end of summer, he said. We will see who wasted anything. So, the young monk stopped fussing, because he did not know what else to do. He still watered the corner, but gently now, the way you water something you have decided to trust instead of control. And he turned to the rest of the garden and the long, ordinary days. And mostly, he forgot about the bare brown corner that had caused him so much quiet pain. It was late in the summer when he noticed something there. The fast green shoots had already grown tall and then started to tire and lean. But in the corner, he had given up on. The late seeds had finally risen, and they were not weak, the way he had feared. They had thick, strong stems. They were rooted deep from all those weeks spent quietly reaching down into the dark before they ever reached up toward the light. The early plants had hurried up on shallow roots, and now they bent in the wind. The late ones stood steady. The time they spent in the dark was not wasted. It was the very thing that made them strong. The old gardener found the young monk standing over that corner with something soft in his face. He did not gloat. He just nodded. You see, he said, there was never anything behind here. There was only a different schedule, written by a different seed, for a different reason. The hurry was all in you. Let that story settle into you now, slowly, the way water sinks into soil long after the watering is done. You do not have to take it apart or explain it. Just let it rest in the dark beside you. But maybe you can feel, faintly, how the young monk's mistake is the same one the small voice makes in you each night. It looks at the bare corner of your life, the love not yet here, the work not yet settled, the dream still folded up small in the dark, and it announces that you are behind, that something is wrong, that you should dig it up and start over with faster seeds. But you do not know yet what has been growing downward in you all this time, in the years you call lost. You do not know how deep your roots have gone, while nothing seemed to be happening on the surface. The slow seasons are not empty seasons. They are the ones doing the work that does not show. The work that will one day let you stand steady in a wind that knocks the hurried ones flat. Think of the people you have envied for getting there early, the ones who seemed so far ahead. You have only ever seen their green shoots, the part above the soil. You have not seen their roots, or the lack of them. Some of those quick lives are stronger than they look. Some are shallower than they look. You cannot tell from the surface, and neither can they. So there is no real way to know who is truly ahead. There is only your own corner of soil, and the slow, honest work going on inside it, which is none of anyone else's business, and was never meant to match the corner next to yours. So tonight, you do not have to dig anything up. You do not have to force a single green shoot. You can let the bare corners of your life simply be soil for now, dark and quiet and full of a patience you cannot see. Whatever in you has not yet risen is not behind. It is rooted in a season that is yours alone. And as that settles, let your attention come back to the soil of your own body, here in the dark. Let it grow still, the way a garden grows still when the gardener finally goes inside and trusts the night to do its slow, quiet work without him. While your body grows still, let me point you toward something you almost never think to check when the small voice starts counting. Your own body. Your mind may be sure you are running late, but your body has never believed it. Your body has never been in a hurry to be anywhere but here. Think about the breath again, the one moving through you now. It does not breathe faster because you are 30 or 40 or 50 and feel behind. It does not rush to make up lost time. It takes one breath, then the next, at the pace that keeps you alive. It has done this through every moment of your life, the ones you remember and the millions you forgot. The breath has no schedule but this one. It cannot fall behind because it is only ever here. Now, feel your heartbeat, if you can find it. A soft, steady tap in your chest, or your wrist, or your throat. It keeps its own slow time too. It does not speed up because you have not found love yet. It does not slow down with shame because your work is not settled. It just beats faithfully, keeping you here for one more night. Your heart has never once compared itself to another heart. It would not even know how. This is worth resting on, because the deepest things in your life have never run on the ruler's schedule. A cut on your skin heals in its own time. Not early, not late, only when the body is ready. A broken bone knits back together over weeks that no amount of wanting can rush. Your hair grows. Your cells renew. Your lungs clear themselves while you sleep. All of it on a clock that belongs to the body alone. And none of it has ever been late. It has only ever been right on time for what it was doing. So, here is a quiet question. You do not have to answer it. If the breath cannot be behind, and the heartbeat cannot be behind, and the healing of a wound cannot be behind, then where exactly is this place where you fell behind? Look for it in the body, and you will not find it. The body does not hold it. The body only knows right now. And right now, there is no race, no track, no marks on a line. There is just a living person, breathing, resting, held by the dark. The feeling of being behind lives only in the mind, in that thin, busy layer of thought that compares one imagined future with another. It is not in your skin. It is not in your blood. It is not in the slow, honest work that has carried you this far. And tonight, you can come down out of that thin, worried layer and rest in the older, slower, truer time of the body. The body that has never once told you that you were too late. Think of how much your body has already done for you without ever sending a complaint. It carried you through years you barely remember. It kept your heart beating while you slept, every single night, without being asked. It healed cuts you forgot you had. It did all of this quietly, in its own time, never rushing, never falling short. If your body had run on the ruler's schedule, you would not have survived a week. It runs on something kinder. And tonight, you are allowed to trust that kinder clock and let it set the pace. Let that knowing spread now, the way warmth spreads through cold hands held near a fire. Start at the top of your head and let a soft heaviness move down. Let your forehead let go of the small frown it wears all day, from squinting at a future that has not come. Let it smooth out. Let your eyes grow heavy. They do not need to scan for what is missing anymore. They can just close and rest. Let the warmth move down through your jaw, which has held so many words you did not say. Let it loosen. Let the warmth flow down your neck, into your shoulders. Those patient shoulders that carried the ruler so long, they forgot what empty hands feel like. Feel them soften and widen and sink. Let it move down your arms, all the way to your fingertips. The same fingers that gripped the measuring stick so hard. Now they uncurl. Now they rest, open, against the bed. Let the warmth fill your chest, where that cold space used to open. Let it fill instead with the simple warmth of breathing. Let it move down through your belly, which rises and falls on its own, down through your hips, down your legs, down to the soles of your feet, until your whole body is one warm, heavy, unhurried thing, resting right here, where it has always lived, where it has never once been late. You do not have to make this happen. You only have to allow it. The body knows how to rest. It has been waiting all day for you to stop measuring long enough to let it. And now, in the dark, with the ruler on the floor and the breath moving on its own, you can finally give it that permission. Notice, too, that nothing was lost by slowing down. The mind is afraid that if it stops measuring, even for one night, you will fall further behind. But the body knows the opposite is true. It is the constant racing that wears you out. It is the racing that leaves you too tired to live well in the day you are actually in. Slowing down is not a delay. Slowing down is the repair. The night is not time stolen from your progress. The night is the dark soil where the slow seeds of you do their quietest growing. So, there is nothing more to do now. The breath will keep going without you watching it. The heart will keep its time. The warmth will keep spreading whether you follow it or not. You can let your mind grow loose and wide, like the still surface of a lake at evening, holding the last light without grabbing it. And as the body settles into its older, kinder rhythm, let your mind drift toward water, toward two small streams I want to tell you about. They began in the same high place in the mountains, and they took two very different paths down to the sea. One was quick. One was slow. The world would have called one of them late. But the mountain, which had watched many streams over many years, knew something the fast water had not yet learned. The two streams began at the same spring, high on the mountain, where the snow melted into a cold pool before spilling over the rocks and starting its long way down. For a while, they ran together, one bright thread of water. Then the land split them. A ridge of stone rose up between them. The water parted, half going one way, half the other. And from that moment, their journeys were not the same. The first stream found an open slope, smooth and steep. It rushed down, leaping over small stones, barely pausing, eager to reach the valley. It moved fast, and it moved proud. Within one season, it had reached the lowland and joined the wide river there. If water could speak, it might have said it had arrived. It was done, while the other was barely begun. The second stream met a harder country, where the first found open slope, the second found hard rock, and thick forest, and long flat stretches where the land barely tilted at all. It could not rush. It had to feel its way, turning where the stone turned, slowing where the ground went flat, sinking underground for long stretches, then rising again somewhere further on, patient, slow, finding the only way the land would allow. By the first stream's measure, it was hopelessly behind. Seasons passed, and still it wound through the rock, while the quick water had long since reached the sea. But here is what the mountain knew. After watching so many streams over so many years, the slow stream, pressing so patiently against the hard stone, season after season, was carving something. Where it turned and pooled and pressed and waited, it wore the rock away, grain by grain, so slowly that no one watching for a day, or even a year, would have seen anything happen. And over the long, slow time of its journey, that patient water cut a canyon, a deep, quiet gorge, with smooth, curved walls, the color of honey and shadow. A place so still and so beautiful that, in later years, travelers would walk for days just to stand at its edge and feel something open in their chest that they could not name. The quick stream had reached the sea first, but it left nothing behind. It carved no canyon. It cut no deep and lasting shape into the world. It just hurried down the easy slope and was swallowed by the wide river. No different now from all the other quick water that took the easy way. There was no shame in this. It did what its land allowed. But it did not do what the slow stream did. Because it was never given the hard rock, the long waiting, the patient pressing that turns water into something that can shape stone. Let that rest in you for a moment. Here in the dark, you do not have to make it into a lesson. Just hold the two streams gently, side by side, the one that arrived early and left nothing, the one that arrived late and left a canyon that would outlast every stream that hurried. You have measured your life against the quick stream so many times. You have watched other people reach the lowland early, settle into an arrived life, while you felt yourself still winding through hard country, still pressing against stone, still finding the way slow and unclear, and you called that being behind. But you do not know what your slowness is carving. You cannot see it, any more than the slow stream could see the canyon forming in the dark, the depth in a person, the kind that lets them sit with someone else's sorrow without flinching, the kind that has been worn deep by years of pressing against hard things. That depth is never given to the quick stream. It is only ever carved into the slow one. So, if your way has been hard, if your life gave you stone where others got open slope, you are not behind. You are being carved. The very thing that made your road slow is the thing shaping a depth in you that the hurried ones will never have. And one day, maybe long after, the quick streams have vanished into the wide river, someone may come and stand at the edge of who you have become and feel something open in their own chest and be quietly changed by it. The mountain never pitied the slow stream. It knew better. It had seen the canyons. It understood that the world does not most need the water that arrives first. The world needs the water that has been somewhere deep. The water that pressed against the hard places long enough to become wise and patient and strong. That water is never early. It cannot be. The carving takes exactly as long as it takes. Think of the people in your own life you have leaned on the most, the ones who really understood when you were hurting, the ones whose calm felt like a place you could rest. They were almost never the people who had it easy. They were the slow streams, the ones who had been through hard country themselves and let it carve them deep, instead of letting it make them bitter. Their depth was the gift of their slowness, and the slowness you have been ashamed of may be quietly making you into exactly that kind of person for someone else, somewhere down the road. So, the slow stream went on, the way it always had, not racing, not ashamed, not measuring itself against water that vanished long ago. It just followed the land, turning where the land turned, waiting where it had to wait, doing its slow and beautiful work in the dark and the stone, until at last it, too, reached the sea, not late, just exactly when a stream that carves canyons is meant to arrive, which is to say, in its own time, and not a moment sooner. Let your breath be like that water now, not rushing towards sleep, not pressing to arrive, just moving, slow and patient, following the soft slope of the night wherever it leads, pooling where it pools, deepening where it deepens, trusting that the journey is taking exactly as long as it should. You do not have to reach the sea tonight. You only have to keep flowing, gently, in the dark, the way you always have. And as the water moves through your quieting mind, let one more thing come into view, softly, without alarm. A small book, an old book of accounts, the kind a person keeps without knowing they are keeping it. A book where they have written down everything they think they owe their own life, and every way they fear they have fallen short of paying. Almost everyone carries a book like this, though almost no one would call it that. It is the quiet account book of a life, and in it, without quite meaning to, you have been writing entries for years. On one side, the things you believe a person your age should have by now. On the other side, what you actually have. And every night, in the dark, the small voice opens the book and runs a finger down the columns, adding up the difference. And that difference is what you have been calling debt. The feeling that you owe your life something you have not yet paid. Let us open the book gently. Just once. Not to settle the accounts, just to see how it was written. Because once you see how it was written, it starts to lose its power. Notice first that you did not set the prices. When you wrote down what you should have done by a certain age, you did not reach those numbers through any wisdom of your own. You copied them from the lives around you, from the bright screens, from the questions of relatives, from the timeline that seemed to belong to everyone but you. You wrote down that by now you should have a settled career because someone, somewhere, decided that was the price. You wrote down that by now you should be married, or own a home, or have saved a certain amount, because the world quoted you those prices so often and so confidently that you started to believe they were real, that they were owed. But a debt is only real if you actually borrowed something, and you never borrowed any of this. No one lent you a settled life at 25 on the condition that you pay it back by 35. No one handed you a marriage, a house, a finished self that you are now behind on. These were never loans. They were just pictures. Pictures of one way a life might look, mistaken for a bill you have to pay. And you have been lying awake, night after night, feeling like a person who cannot make their payments for a debt that was never owed. Feel what your hands do when that book is open. They tighten, They grip. There is a clenching somewhere, in the jaw, in the chest, in the small muscles of the hands, as if holding on hard enough could make the columns balance. This is the gripping that wears you out, not the work of your days, but the constant clenching against a debt that lives only in the book. You have been carrying it everywhere, holding it tight, even in your sleep, your fingers cramped around its spine. So, what would happen if you just set it down, not threw it away, not burned it in anger? There is no anger needed here. What if you simply, gently, laid the book on the floor, beside the ruler, and let your hands rest open and empty in the dark? Try it now, in the body. Let your fingers, which are faintly curled, uncurl. Let your palms turn up, or rest soft against the bed. Notice that nothing falls apart. The world does not come to collect the moment you stop gripping. There was never a collector. There was only you, holding the book so tight you forgot you could put it down. Here is the quiet truth the book never wanted you to see. A life is not a debt to be repaid. It is not an account that has to balance by a certain date, or be called a failure. A life is a gift you are already living, breath by breath. It does not become more paid by your worrying. It does not become more owed by your falling short of someone else's picture. The breath you are taking right now is not a payment towards some balance. It is just yours, freely, tonight, asking nothing in return. And think about this. If a friend showed you their book, full of all the ways they felt behind, you would not agree with it. You would be gentle. You would tell them the prices they wrote down were never fair. You would remind them of how far they have come and how hard their road has been. You would close the book softly and set it aside and tell them they were never in debt at all. You know how to do this. You have done it for the people you love. Tonight, you can do it for yourself. You can read your own book with the same kindness you would give anyone else, and then quietly close it. So, let the book close. Let it slip from your loosening hands. Let the columns blur and the numbers fade, the way ink fades on an old page left out in the rain. You owe this night nothing. You owe it no achievement, no progress, no proof that you kept pace. You are not behind on any payment, because there was never a loan. There was only a tired person, doing their honest best, on a road harder than most people will ever know, carrying a book of made-up debts and calling the weight of it failure. And as the book settles to the floor, feel how much lighter your hands become, how your arms, no longer clutching anything, grow heavy in the good way, the resting way, sinking into the bed. Feel your chest soften where the accounting used to live. There is room there now, the simple room of breathing, no longer crowded with sums. You are not in debt to your own life. You never were. You are simply in the middle of it. Here, in the dark, allowed, at last, to rest. Let the breath move through that open space slowly. There is no number to reach tonight, no balance to settle, no payment due before morning. The only thing being asked of you now is to lie still and let the night hold the weight you finally set down. And the night is glad to hold it. The night has held far heavier things than your made-up debts. It does not tire, and it does not judge. It will keep your books safe on the floor until morning, when, if you really want to, you can pick it up again, though you may find, after a night of resting without it, that you are in no hurry to. For now, let your hands stay open, let the columns stay blurred, and as the room grows quieter still, let your mind wander down an old mountain road at dusk, the kind of road a traveler walks when he set out too late in the day, and is sure he will arrive at the temple long after everyone else has already gone inside. The traveler had not meant to leave so late. He had planned to set out at dawn, to walk the mountain road in the cool morning and reach the temple by midday, the way the sensible ones did, the ones who planned ahead. But small things had delayed him, the way small things do. And by the time he finally shouldered his pack and started up the path, the sun was already leaning toward the west. He knew he would arrive long after everyone else had settled in. He walked fast at first, ashamed of being late, his mind running ahead of his feet. They will already be at their evening meal, he thought. The good rooms will be taken. The teacher will have given the first talk, and I will have missed it. He pictured them all gathered in the warm hall, and himself stumbling in at dark, the latecomer, the one who could not even manage to leave on time. With every step, the shame walked beside him, pushing him to hurry, as if he could somehow arrive before he arrived. But the road was steep, and his hurrying tired him out, and soon he had to slow down just to breathe. And only when he slowed, only when he gave up trying to catch a morning that was already gone, did he start to see where he actually was. The late afternoon light was falling across the mountainside in a way the midday travelers had never seen. The low sun turned the long grass to gold. Each blade caught the light and held it. The shadows of the pines stretched long and blue across the path. A mist was gathering in the valley below, soft and silver, the way it only does in the cooling hour. The whole world seemed to slow down and deepen and glow. The morning walkers had passed through this same stretch of road hours before, in the flat, bright light of noon, and had seen none of it. They had hurried through a plain, ordinary path. He, by being late, was walking through something the early ones would never know existed. As the dark came on, the first stars appeared above the ridge, and he stopped on the path just to watch them, something no one rushing to arrive on time would ever think to do. A night bird called once, somewhere in the trees, and the sound was so clear and so alone in the great silence that it seemed to open the whole valley. Standing there in the blue dusk, he realized he was not sorry anymore. The lateness that had shamed him had become the very thing that gave him all of this. The empty road, the golden grass, the silver mist, the first stars, the single cry of the bird. None of it would have been his if he had left at dawn with the others. When he finally reached the temple, late, in full dark, an old monk was sitting alone on the worn stone steps, as if he had been waiting. The traveler started to apologize, the words tumbling out, the old shame rushing back. "I am sorry to arrive so late," he said. "I missed the morning. I missed the teaching. I could not keep up with the others." The old monk looked at him for a long moment. There was something almost amused in his quiet eyes. "Tell me," he said, "what did you see on the road?" And the traveler, surprised, found himself describing it. The low gold light, the long blue shadows, the silver mist, the first stars, the one bird calling in the great silence. The old monk nodded slowly. "The ones who came at midday arrived on time," he said. "They saw a road. You arrived late, and you saw the mountain show you its evening face, which it shows to almost no one, because almost no one is on the road when it is shown. You did not miss the teaching. You walked through it the whole way up. Come. Your room is the quiet one at the end. It has a window that faces the eastern ridge. So you, who arrived in the dark, will be the first of us to see the dawn. Let that rest in you now, in your own dark, with your own evening face all around you, because you, too, have walked your road later than you meant to. There are things you reached long after the others, or have not reached yet, and the shame has walked beside you, pushing you to hurry, telling you that you missed the morning of your life, but you do not yet know what you are seeing, precisely because you are late. The depth of feeling, the slow understanding, the kindness that only comes to people who have known the long blue dusk of waiting. The ones who arrived early, in the flat, bright certainty of the expected hour, walked through a plain, ordinary path and called it living. You have been given the evening face of your own life, the gold, the mist, the first quiet stars, and one day you may understand that the lateness you grieved was the very thing that let you see it. There is no warm hall you missed. There is no first talk you arrived too late to hear. The road itself was the teaching, and you have been walking it, faithfully, this whole time, in the deepening light, seeing what the hurried ones can never see, and the quiet room at the end, the one that faces the dawn, is being kept for you, because the one who arrives last in the dark is often the first to see the morning come. And notice something. The old monk understood that the traveler had not. The traveler kept thinking the others were ahead of him, but they were not on his road at all. They were in the warm hall, asleep, finished with their day. He was the only one still walking, still seeing, still awake to the gold and the mist and the stars. In the only moment that was actually happening, he was not behind anyone. He was simply the one who was there for it. And so are you, tonight, awake in your own quiet hour, while so much of the world sleeps. You are not behind. You are here, seeing your own dusk, on your own road. So, let your steps slow now, here on the road of the night, the way the traveler's steps slowed when he finally stopped chasing a morning that was already gone. Let the hurrying fall away. Let the road be beautiful. Let the dusk be the gift it has always been. The long blue gift, given only to those who arrive late enough to receive it. And as the traveler's footsteps fade into the temple, let yourself settle deeper into the warmth around you, into the quiet room that has been kept for you all along, where there is nothing left to reach, and the only thing left to do is rest. The quiet room at the end of the temple is yours now, and so is this one. The room you are actually lying in the actual dark. Let the stories rest for a while. You do not need to hold on to them. They have done their work. Now they can fade into the background of the night, like a fire that is burned down to soft, glowing embers, no longer crackling, just keeping you warm. There is nothing more to understand tonight. There is only the warmth and the dark and the slow settling of a body that has finally been allowed to stop. Feel the weight of the blanket over you, or the simple weight of the air. If there is no blanket, pressing down with the gentlest pressure, the way a hand might rest on the back of someone it loves. That small weight is telling your body that it is safe, that it is held, that it can let go of its long watching. So let it. Let the weight settle you. Let it press the last of the day out of your arms and legs, down into the bed, and through the bed into the floor, and through the floor into the patient earth. The earth has been holding tired bodies for longer than there have been words for tired. Notice that your breathing has already changed, without your asking it to. It has slowed. It has dropped lower. It is moving in your belly now, soft and round, instead of high and tight in the chest. You did not make this happen. The body did it on its own. The moment you stopped pushing it forward. This is what it was waiting for. This is the rhythm it returns to whenever you finally let it. There is nothing for you to do now but follow it down, the way you might follow a soft path down a hill in the last light, not choosing the way, just letting your feet find it. Let your face grow soft. The small muscles around your eyes have been working all day, holding an expression of effort, of trying. Let them rest now. Let the space between your eyebrows widen. Let your cheeks grow heavy. Let your lips part, just a little, the way they do at the edge of sleep. There is no one to perform for in the dark. There is no face you need to hold. You can let the whole face go soft and slack and easy. Let your throat soften, and the back of your neck, and the place where your head rests on the pillow, that small cradle of weight. Let your head be heavy, truly heavy. Let it sink into whatever holds it. Give up the long habit of holding it even a little bit up. The pillow can take all of it. It is glad to. Let it. And let the warmth move down, the way the dusk moved down the mountainside. Slow and gold and gentle, down through your shoulders, which can drop a little further than you thought, down through your arms, heavy now, resting where they rest. Your hands open and empty, holding nothing, owing nothing, reaching for nothing, down through your chest, rising and falling in its own slow time, down through your belly, soft and unguarded, down through your hips, down your legs, the whole long weight of them letting go into the bed, down to your feet, which carried you through every step of this day and every day before it. They can rest now, pointing nowhere, going nowhere, done with walking for a while. The whole body, heavy and warm and held, nothing to reach, nowhere to arrive, no road left to climb tonight. And if a thought drifts through, some small return of the counting, some old number floating up out of habit, you do not need to chase it. You do not need to push it away either. Just let it pass, the way a moth passes through the edge of lamplight and is gone again into the dark. You are not its keeper tonight. It can drift. You can let it. Your only work now is to stay soft and heavy and warm, and to let the breath carry you gently down. The room is growing dimmer, even behind your closed eyes. The day is fully gone now. The world that compared you and measured you and quoted you its prices has gone quiet. It has gone to its own rest. It has stopped its noise for a while. There is no one left awake to tell you that you are behind. There is only the dark, which has never once kept track of anyone's progress, and the warmth, which asks nothing, and your own slow breath, which has carried you faithfully to this exact moment, and will carry you just as faithfully down into sleep when you are ready. Let yourself be carried. You do not have to find your own way down. The night knows the way. It has taken countless tired travelers down into rest, gently, every single night, since the first night there ever was. It knows how to hold you. It knows how to dim the room around you. It knows how to slow the breath and soften the body and quiet the counting mind. You can trust it, the way the late traveler finally trusted the road, stopping his hurry, letting the dusk do what dusk does. So rest now, simply rest, in the warm, dim room that was always being kept for you. There is no morning you have missed. There is no hall you arrived too late to enter. There is only this, the warmth, the weight, the dark, the slow breath, and a tiredness that is finally, after so long, allowed to become sleep. Let each breath out take a little more of you down. Breathe in, softly, and on the way out, sink. Breathe in again, and on the way out, sink a little further. You are not falling. You are settling, the way a leaf settles on still water, with no sound, no effort, just a slow coming to rest. There is nothing below you to fear, only deeper warmth, only softer dark, only more rest, waiting to receive you. And high above the temple, above the warm, dim room, above your quiet body and your slowing breath, the night sky has come fully out now, wide and dark and scattered with stars. Let your mind float up toward them, softly, the way smoke from a low fire drifts up into the dark. Because there is one more thing the old teachers knew about the stars and their light, and what it means to arrive late. And it may settle the last of the counting in you, before the night carries you the rest of the way down. The light from those stars is old, older than the mind can easily hold. When you look up and see a star shining, you are not seeing it as it is now. You are seeing light that left it long ago, light that crossed an enormous dark for years, for centuries, sometimes far longer, before it ever reached your eye. The star may have changed by now. It may have grown or dimmed. Some are no longer even there. And yet the light arrives, faithfully, exactly when it arrives. It fills the night. It guides the traveler. And no one who sees it calls it late. They just call it starlight. No one looks up at a star and thinks, that light is behind. No one says it should have arrived sooner, that it fell short. The light took exactly as long as it needed to cross the distance it had to cross. Its lateness, if you want to call it that, is not a flaw. It is just what happens when light travels across something vast. The greater the distance, the longer the journey. And the longer the journey, the older and farther traveled the light when it finally shines in someone's dark. You have been thinking of your own life as light that came too slow. But think again. The things in you that took the longest, the love that was late in coming, the understanding that arrived only after long years, the peace you are only now beginning to feel. These are not late lights. They are far-traveled ones. They crossed a greater distance than the quick lights ever had to. They came through more dark. And when they finally arrive in you, they do not arrive smaller for the journey. They arrive deeper because of it. Remember the small lamp from the beginning, the one in the doorway that the young monks feared they had to keep bright enough to fill the night. It could never fill the night. No single lamp can. But look up now at what does fill the night. Not one great brightness. Countless small lights, each one far away, each one shining only with its own modest flame, each one having traveled its own long road through the dark to be exactly where it is. The night is not lit by anything in a hurry. It is lit by patient, far-traveled, unhurried light, arriving from every distance, each one in its own time, none of them behind, all of them simply, quietly, there. And you are one of those lights, not the lamp straining to fill the room, one small star among the countless others, shining with your own modest flame, having traveled your own long and particular road through your own long dark. The light you give is not less because it took a long time to arrive. It is more. It carries everything the journey gave it. And somewhere, someone in their own dark may look toward your small far light and feel, just for a moment, less alone. The way lost people have always looked up at the patient stars and found their way. So, let the counting grow quiet now, the way it does when you look up long enough at the great scattered dark. Up there, in all that space, the whole frantic question of ahead or behind simply melts away. There is no race among the stars. There is no schedule. The night sky is failing to keep. There is only the slow, patient turning of everything, each light arriving when it arrives, each one held in the same wide dark, each one part of the same quiet whole. And you are part of it too. You always have been. You did not fall out of the great patient order of things by being slow. You are right inside it, turning with everything else, arriving in your own time, like light that has come a long way and is welcome precisely because of how far it has come. Feel how small the counting becomes against all of that, the whole anxious math of the milestones, the ages, the prices, the made-up debts. Set it against the vast, slow turning of the night sky, where nothing hurries and nothing is late, and everything arrives exactly when it is always going to. Your worry has been the size of a single dim room. The truth is the size of the whole night, and the whole night is telling you, in its quiet, scattered light, that there is no such thing as falling behind in a universe that has never once been in a hurry. Let your mind rest there for a while, floating in the wide dark among the patient lights, far above the room, far above the body, far above the small voice that counts. There is nothing to measure up there. There is nothing to reach. There is only the slow turning, and the far light arriving, and the great calm that holds it all. The same calm that is holding you now, in your warm room, in your quiet bed, in the soft dark of this particular night. The old teachers used to sit out under that sky for whole nights, not to study it, just to remember their true size, which is small, and their true place, which is held. They knew that a person who has felt how vast and unhurried the night really is, finds it harder, afterward, to believe the small voice that whispers about being late. The stars had been arriving for longer than anyone could count, and not one of them had ever been in a hurry, and not one of them had ever been behind. When they came back down from those long nights, they carried something quiet with them, not an idea they could explain, but a feeling. The feeling of being one small light among many, in a sky that was never racing. After a night like that, the morning's worries seemed smaller. The questions of who was ahead and who was behind seemed like questions the stars had never thought to ask. You are getting a little of that tonight, just by lying here and letting your mind float up. You do not have to keep it forever. You only have to let it soften you now. And as you float there, something in you can finally stop. Not just slow down, stop. The counting can stop. The measuring can stop. The long habit of checking your place against the imagined line can stop, because there is no line up here. There never was. There is only the wide, forgiving dark, and the patient lights, and you among them. Exactly where you are. Exactly on time for a life that was never running late. You do not have to come down yet. You can drift among the stars a little longer, weightless, unhurried, held, and let the night carry you gently toward toward the deep rest you have needed for so long. So, let yourself be carried. There is a real relief in this. In the moment, a person finally stops swimming against the current of their own night and lets the water take them. You have been swimming so long. Even now, even lying still, some old part of you may still be making the small motions of effort, still trying, faintly, to get somewhere, to arrive, to keep up. You can let those motions stop. You can let your arms grow quiet in the water. You can let the gentle current of the night do what it has been waiting all this time to do, which is simply to carry you. This is the turning of the night, the soft middle, where everything is allowed to change direction. Up to now, we have been walking, climbing the road, following the streams, opening the heavy book. Now there is nowhere left to walk. Now there is only floating, only being held, only the slow rise and fall of the breath, like a boat resting on quiet water. You have come far enough. You can stop here. You can let this be the place where the trying ends, at least for tonight. Notice that no harm comes from stopping. This was the great fear, wasn't it? The fear under all the counting. That if you ever truly stopped, even for one night, the gap would grow. The others would pull further ahead. You would fall hopelessly behind and never recover. But look, you have stopped, here, in this hour, and the world has not punished you. The dark has not scolded you. The breath has not left you. Nothing has fallen apart. You have simply come to rest. The way a boat comes to rest when the rower finally lifts the oars and lets it glide. And the gliding turns out to be the most peaceful part of the whole journey. Let me say something now that the small voice has never let you hear. You are allowed to stop trying to catch up. Not just tonight, though tonight is enough. You are allowed to set down the whole project of catching up, because there is no one ahead of you to catch. The people you have measured yourself against are not on your road. They are on their own roads, walking their own dusk, carrying their own books, lying awake in their own dark, feeling, more often than you would ever guess, exactly the way you feel. There is no single road with everyone lined up along it, some ahead, some behind. There are only countless roads, each one its own, each one walked by one traveler, each one arriving exactly where it arrives. So, the race you have been running was a race against no one. The finish line you strained toward was painted on the air, and the tiredness you feel is the honest tiredness of someone who has been running hard for a very long time toward a line that was never there. You can stop. You can sit down in the soft grass at the side of the road that is yours alone. You can let your running legs rest. There is no one gaining on you. There never was. And if part of you argues that this cannot be right, that surely the others really are ahead, that surely there really is a way you were supposed to have lived by now, let that argument come and let it pass. Do not fight it. You do not have to win the argument tonight. You only have to notice that the argument is just another runner, the small voice sent out into the dark to keep you moving. It can sit down too. It can rest in the grass beside you. There is room at the side of this road for every tired part of you, even the parts that are still afraid to stop. Feel how the body takes in this permission. Feel how something deep in the chest, some long-held bracing, begins to let go now that it has finally been told the truth. The race is over, because the race was never real. The breath drops lower. The shoulders, which crept back up while you were not watching, sink down again. The jaw lets go. The whole body breathes out a tension it has held not just today, but for years. The low constant hum of trying to keep pace, finally allowed to go quiet. And in that quiet, you may drift. You do not have to stay awake for the rest of these words. This is the hour where sleep is welcome, where drifting is not a failure of attention, but the very thing the night is for. If your mind starts to loosen, if the images begin to blur and float, if the voice you are hearing begins to feel far away and dreamlike, do not pull yourself back. Let it happen. Let yourself slip under, gently, the way the tide slips over the sand at evening, without effort, without alarm, just the natural settling of water finding its level. And if you are still here, still floating, still listening, that is welcome too. There is no right way to receive this hour. You may drift and return 100 times. You may sleep and wake and sleep again. You may stay softly awake through all of it, just resting, just being carried. None of these is better than the others. None of them is behind. There is no correct pace even for falling asleep. Just as there was never a correct pace for living a life, the body will find its own way down, in its own time, the way it always has. So, let the current carry you a little further into the night now. Let the questions you came here with grow soft and far away, no longer sharp, no longer urgent, just the faint outline of worries you used to have, dissolving in the gentle motion of the water. You do not have to solve them tonight. Maybe you do not have to solve them ever. Some things are not solved. They are simply outgrown, or set down by a tide that carries you past them while you rest. And as the water carries you, the mind begins to grow clear, the way water grows clear when it finally stops being stirred. The thoughts that troubled it settle slowly to the bottom. And in that new stillness, you may notice the comparing thought itself, the one that has whispered all these years that you are behind, not as a truth anymore, not as a master you must obey, but as something small and strange and passing, drifting through the clear water like a little fish, there for a moment, and then simply gone. Watch that small fish of a thought for a moment, there in the clear, still water of the quieting mind. The thought that says you are behind. For most of your life, it has not felt like a thought at all. It has felt like a fact, like the weather, like the simple shape of how things are. It came so often and so quietly that you stopped noticing it was even arriving. It became the water you swam in, instead of something passing through the water. And a thing you cannot see, you cannot question, a thing that feels like reality itself, you simply obey. But here, in the stillness, with the counting slowed and the body at rest, you can finally see it for what it is. Not the truth, a thought, one particular thought, with a particular shape that drifts in, says its familiar words, and drifts out again. The way a small fish moves through clear water and is gone. It is not you. It is not your life. It is not a verdict. It is just a passing event in the mind, no more solid than a cloud crossing the moon. Notice that the thought has a voice, and the voice is not really yours. Listen to it the next time it speaks. You are behind. You wasted years. Everyone else has it figured out. Whose voice is that? Really? It is not the voice of the breath, which has never once said such a thing. It is not the voice of the body, which knows only right now. It is an old, borrowed voice, put together long ago out of other people's comparisons, the questions of relatives, the timelines of a world that profits from your sense of lack. You took it in so young that it learned to speak as if it were you, but it is a visitor. It has always been a visitor, and you do not have to believe a visitor just because it has been knocking at your door for many years. This is the quiet turn, the one the old teachers pointed to again and again. You do not suffer because you are behind, for you are not. You suffer because you believe the thought that says you are. The whole weight of it, the cold space in the chest, the sleepless counting. None of it rests on any fact about your life. It rests on your agreement with one passing thought, and agreement can be taken back. Not by fighting the thought, for fighting a thought only feeds it, but simply by seeing it clearly and letting it pass. The way you let the small fish pass, without grabbing for it, without following it down into the dark. Try it now, gently. The next time the thought comes, you are behind. Do not push it away, and do not believe it either. Just notice it. There is the thought again. There is the visitor at the door. And then bring your attention back to the breath, to the warmth, to the weight of your body in the bed, to the simple, undeniable fact that you are here, alive, resting, in this moment that holds no race and no line and no gap. The thought will come back. Visitors do. But each time you see it clearly and let it pass, instead of obeying it, it grows a little quieter, a little less sure of its welcome, until one night it knocks and finds that you are no longer waiting by the door to let it in. You are not the comparing thought. You are the quiet awareness in which the thought appears and disappears. You are the still water, not the little fish that swims through it. You are the wide, dark sky, not the cloud that drifts across it. And the sky is never made smaller by the cloud, never made late by it, never harmed by anything that merely passes through. The sky just holds it, lets it cross, and remains, wide and calm and untouched, exactly as it was. There is a great relief hidden in this, and you may feel it starting to spread through you now. Because if you are the sky and not the cloud, then you do not have to win against the thought. You do not have to argue it down, or prove it wrong, or replace it with a better thought before you are allowed to rest. You only have to remember which one you are. The cloud says you are late. The sky says nothing at all. The sky has no opinion about being late, having watched 10,000 clouds cross it and never once been changed by any of them. When the thought says you are behind, you can meet it with the silence of the sky, which is not a defeat and not a victory, just a quiet remembering of your true, spacious nature, in which there is room for the thought, and room for its passing, and room, most of all, for rest. Rest is that sky now. Let the thoughts drift across you, the comparing one and all its companions, and let them pass without grabbing any of them. You do not have to clear the sky of clouds to find peace. The peace was never in the clearing. It was in the sky itself. The part of you that watches, that holds, that remains, that part of you has never been behind. It cannot be. It is not on the road at all. It is the quiet space in which the whole road appears, the whole journey, the whole life, held in a calm that no passing thought can disturb. And from that calm, you can look back over all your years with gentler eyes, the lost time, the slow seasons, the late arrivals. None of it was a falling behind, because the one who lived it, the quiet awareness behind your eyes, was never racing anyone, never measuring, never lacking. It was simply here, watching, present, whole, through every single moment, even the ones the small voice called wasted. You have never, for one instant of your life, been anywhere but exactly where you were. And that, the teachers said, is the only place anyone has ever needed to be. Let that settle, soft and deep, into the still water, and as it settles, let an old craftsman come quietly into the mind, an old potter at his wheel, clay on his hands, a fire burning low behind him, a man who learned over a long life of making and breaking. What happens to a thing that is rushed? And what happens to a thing that is given the time it truly needs? The old potter had made pots for the monastery most of his life. The simple bowls the monks ate from, the jars that held water and oil, the big urns that kept the rice dry through the long wet seasons. He was known in the valley not for beauty, though his pots were beautiful, but for strength. His pots did not crack. They lasted. A bowl from his hands might pass through 3 generations of monks and still hold its soup without a flaw. Young potters came from far away to ask him his secret. They expected some trick of the clay, some special glaze, some hidden skill of the hands. But what he told them always disappointed them at first. The secret, he said, is the fire, and the patience to let the fire take its time. He would show them the kiln, the big brick oven where the soft clay was hardened into stone. A pot, he explained, cannot just be shaped and then used. The wet clay, however perfect its shape, is weak and crumbly. It must be fired. It must be put in the heat and brought up slowly, very slowly, to a great temperature. held there, and then cooled, just as slowly, over many hours, sometimes over days. And the slowness is everything. The slowness is the whole secret. The young potters were always impatient. They wanted to fire their pots fast, to make many in a day, to see their work finished and praised. So they would build the fire too hot, too quick, rushing the clay toward hardness, eager to hold a finished thing in their hands. The old potter had done the same once, when he was young, and he had learned, through many ruined pots, what happens to clay that is rushed. When the fire rises too fast, he said, the outside of the pot hardens before the inside is ready. The surface looks finished, it looks strong, but deep inside, the clay is still changing, still letting go of its last moisture, still settling into what it will become. And that trapped change has nowhere to go. The pressure builds inside the too quickly hardened shell until, with a sound like a quiet sigh, or sometimes a sharp crack, the pot breaks. Not on the surface, where everything looked fine, but from within, from the deep places that were never given time to be ready before the surface said it was done. A pot rushed to hardness, he said, is the weakest thing in the kiln. It is the one that shatters. The pots that last, the ones that hold soup for 3 generations, are the ones brought to strength slowly, given all the time the deep clay needed, never forced to be finished before they truly were. The young potters often asked how he had learned this, and he would grow quiet and tell them about the first pot he ever truly loved. He was young and proud. He had shaped a jar so fine that he could not bear to wait the slow days the firing asked for. He built the fire high and fast. He wanted to hold the beautiful thing in his hands and be called a master before his years. The jar came out gleaming, and for one whole day, he believed he had done something remarkable. Then, in the cool of the second evening, sitting on a shelf where nothing had touched it, the jar broke, quietly, from the inside, all on its own, from a pressure that had been building in the deep places the fire never gave time to settle. He had cried over it, he admitted, more than a grown man perhaps should cry over a jar, but it taught him the thing that made every pot after it strong. Never again did he rush the fire. Never again did he mistake a quick hardening for true strength. Let that rest in you now, in your own slow warmth, here in the dark. Because you have spent so long believing the rushed pot is the successful one. You have looked at the lives that hardened fast, the people who seemed finished and strong while still young, and you have envied them. You have called yourself behind for taking longer, but you do not know what is happening inside those quick lives. You do not know what pressure may be building under a surface that looks so finished, and you do not yet understand that the longer time you have taken, the slow fire of your own becoming, is not a weakness. It is the very thing making you a pot that will not crack. The deep places in you, the ones still changing, still letting go, still settling into what they will become, have been given time. They have not been rushed toward a hardness they were not ready for. So when life finally fires you, when the real heat comes, the loss, the grief, the long difficulty that comes to every life sooner or later, you will not shatter from inside the way the rushed ones do. You will hold, because you were made slowly, by a patient fire, given all the time your deep clay needed. So, the slowness you have grieved is not a flaw in your making. It is the care in it. Something, or someone, or simply the patient nature of becoming itself, has been bringing you to strength gently, refusing to rush you toward a finish you were not ready for, refusing to let your surface harden before your depths were prepared. This is not falling behind. This is being made well. This is being made to last. Feel the warmth of that slow fire around you now, not a fierce heat, a gentle, holding warmth, the warmth of a kiln cooling slowly through the night. In no hurry, letting the clay settle into its lasting strength at exactly the pace it needs. You are in that warmth now. You are being held in it. There is no rush. There is only the slow, patient making, the long, gentle fire, and a vessel being brought, in its own time, to a strength that will hold whatever the years pour into it. And as the warmth holds you, let your mind soften toward someone you may have been hard on for a very long time. Someone who took the slow road, who arrived late, who fell behind, or so you told them, night after night. A younger version of yourself, standing somewhere back along the road, still waiting, even now, to hear that they were not failing, that they were only being made slowly, that they were never, not for one moment, as far behind as you led them to believe. Picture that younger self for a moment, gently, the way you might picture someone you love who has been waiting a long time for you to arrive. There they are, somewhere back along the road of your years, maybe very young, small, and unsure, maybe not so young, but still earlier than you are now, still in the middle of one of the hard stretches, still believing the road would have been easier if only they had been faster, or better, or further along. They carried so much, and for so long, when you have thought of them at all, it has usually been to find fault, to wish they had chosen differently, to blame them for the years you now call lost. Tonight, you can do something kinder. You can go to them in the soft theater of the mind and sit down beside them and say the words no one said to them back then. You do not have to say them out loud. You only have to mean them. Here, in the warm dark, where the heart can finally afford to be gentle. You can tell that younger self they were never behind, that what looked like falling short was only the long, slow firing of a life being made to last, that the choices they agonized over, the wrong turns, the years that seemed to lead nowhere, were the very stretches of road that gave them their depth, their tenderness, their hard-won understanding of how it feels to struggle and to wait. You can tell them you see now what they could not see then, that nothing was wasted, that every hard season was quietly carving the canyon, rooting the seed, settling the clay. They did not fail you. They carried you here, and here, it turns out, is exactly where you were always meant to arrive, in your own time, not late, not lacking, just here. Feel how that younger self softens when they finally hear it. Feel the tightness they carried in their small shoulders begin to ease, the way your own shoulders have eased tonight. They waited so long to be forgiven for a crime they never committed. The crime of taking their own amount of time. And you are the only one who can offer that forgiveness, so you can set them free, not with grand words, just with the quiet truth. You are always doing your best, on a road harder than anyone knew. You are never behind. You are only becoming. And I am sorry it took me so long to tell you. Maybe you can even see their face there, in the soft dark, the particular worry they wore, the way they tried so hard to seem fine when they were not, the nights they lay awake exactly as you are lying now, doing the same math, sure that everyone else had been handed a map they had somehow missed. You know now there was no map. You know now that the ones who seemed so sure were mostly just better at hiding their own doubt. If you could put a hand on that younger shoulder, you would feel how tightly they were holding themselves together. And you would understand, with a tenderness that almost aches, that they were never lazy, never careless, never the failure they feared. They were just a person, walking through their own dark, with no one there yet to tell them it would be all right. You can be that someone now. It is not too late to be that someone. It is, in fact, exactly the right time. This is a kind of healing that does not announce itself. It happens quietly, in the dark, when a person finally turns toward the part of themselves they have been hardest on, and offers it the gentleness they would give a tired child, or a friend in pain, or anyone at all, except, until now, themselves. You have been so generous with your patience for others, and so stingy with it for yourself. You understood, right away, why a friend's slow road was not their fault, why their late arrival was not a failure, why they deserved kindness, not blame. And then you turned that same understanding into cruelty the moment it was your own road in question. Tonight, you can let that double standard rest. You can give yourself the simple mercy you have always known how to give everyone else. And notice this. The self-judgment was never making you faster. The harshness, the blame, the nightly listing of your shortcomings, none of it ever moved you one step further down the road. It only made the walking heavier. The cruelty was not motivation. It was just one more weight you were carrying, one more thing pressing on your tired chest in the dark. And you can set it down now, the way you set down the ruler and the book, gently, without drama, simply because you no longer want to carry what was never helping you. Let warmth move toward that younger self now, the way warmth moves toward someone cold who is finally let in from the rain. Let them rest against you. Let them feel, maybe for the first time, that they are not in trouble, that they were never in trouble, that the long, anxious effort to be different, to be further, to be faster, can finally come to an end. They are home now. They arrived. They were always going to arrive. on this exact night, at this exact hour, in their own unhurried time. And the welcome they get is not a scolding for being late. It is only this, only warmth, only the soft, overdue word that they were enough the whole time. Hold them there, in the warmth, until the holding and the held become the same thing, until there is no longer a younger self and an older self, a failure and a judge, only one tired person, whole, breathing in the dark, no longer divided against themselves, no longer behind, no longer racing, just resting, at last, in their own kind company. And as that tenderness settles through you, soft and complete, let your mind widen out beyond yourself, out past the warm room and the quiet bed, into the great turning of the world, where another kind of patience has been teaching the same lesson, silently, for as long as there has been a sky, the patience of the seasons, which arrive, each in its turn, never early, never late, never behind one another, each one doing the quiet, necessary work that only it can do. Think of how the winter comes. It does not arrive late. It does not look at the autumn before it and feel ashamed for taking so long. It does not race the spring that will follow. It simply comes, in its turn, when the turning year brings it, and it does the quiet work that only winter can do. It draws the life of the trees down into their roots, deep underground, where nothing can be seen. It lets the fields rest. It covers the seeds in the cold, dark earth and holds them there, still, silent, seeming to do nothing at all. To a watching eye, the winter field looks like failure, empty, frozen, behind. But the winter is not behind the spring. The winter is what makes the spring possible. The deep, cold rest is not a delay before the real work begins. It is the real work. A seed that is not held through the winter does not bloom in the spring. A tree that does not draw its life down into the dark and rest there does not have the strength to push out its leaves when the warmth returns. The empty season is not the absence of growth. It is the secret, necessary part of growth. The part that happens in the dark. The part no one praises. The part that looks, to the impatient, like nothing happening at all. You have had winters in your life. Long ones, maybe. Seasons where nothing seemed to grow, where the field of your days looked empty and frozen, where you lay covered in the cold, dark earth. Sure, you had fallen behind every blooming thing around you. And in those winters, the small voice was loudest of all, pointing at the bare fields, asking why nothing was happening, why you were so far behind the ones who seemed to be in endless spring. There is a particular loneliness to a long winter season, the loneliness of looking around and seeing what you take to be everyone else's spring. The blooming careers, the new homes, the growing families, the lives that seem to flower so easily, while yours stays bare, but you were only ever seeing their surfaces, the visible blooms. You never saw the winters they had passed through too, or were passing through, still, hidden, the way your own deep work was hidden from them. No one shows their bare fields. No one posts a picture of the frozen ground. And so each person, looking out at the world's bright surfaces, comes to believe they are the only one wintering, the only one behind, when in truth, every life that has ever grown has spent long seasons in exactly the cold, dark patience you feared was failure. But you were not behind. You were wintering. You were doing the deep, quiet work that does not show, drawing your life down into your roots, resting in a way that looked like failure, but was actually the very thing that would let you bloom again when your season turned. Nothing was wasted in your winters. The seed was being held. The roots were going deeper. The strength for some later spring was being gathered. Silently, in the dark, the same way it is gathered in every living thing that has ever grown. And here is the gentle truth that ties together all the stories the night has brought you. The late seeds in the gardener's corner, the slow stream that carved the canyon, the traveler walking into the golden dusk, the clay brought patiently to strength in the cooling kiln, your own younger self, waiting along the road. They are all saying the same simple thing, in different voices. There is no single schedule that all lives must keep. There is only the turning of seasons, each one arriving in its own time, each one doing work that cannot be rushed, each one exactly where it is meant to be, in the great, unhurried turning of things. The winter does not envy the summer. The summer does not look back at the spring and feel it should have stayed longer. Each season simply takes its turn, does its work, and gives way to the next, trusting the turning, never once believing that any season is ahead or behind any other. They are not in a competition. They are in a circle, and in a circle there is no behind. There is no front of the line, and no back of it. There is only the wheel, turning, each part of it needed, each part arriving exactly when the turning brings it. Your life is turning like that too, even now, even tonight. Whatever season you are in, the slow one, the cold one, the bare and waiting one, it is not a sign that you have fallen out of step. It is your turn at that particular season. Your turn at the deep root work. Your turn in a dark, fertile rest, and it will give way in its own time to whatever comes next. Not because you forced it, not because you caught up, but because seasons turn, and yours will turn too. Gently, without you having to push the wheel. So let yourself rest in your season now, whatever it is, without shame, without hurry, the way the winter field rests under its blanket of snow. There is nothing to force up out of the frozen ground tonight. There is nothing to bloom on command. There is only the deep, dark rest, doing its quiet, necessary work, while you lie still and warm and trust the turning that has never once failed to bring the spring. Feel the slow warmth in you, like the first far-off promise of a thaw. Not rushing, not yet, but there, patient, certain, somewhere in the deep ground of you, the held seeds are resting. Somewhere the roots are drawing strength. You do not have to watch over any of it. You do not have to make it happen. The turning will bring what it brings, in its time. And your only task tonight is the same task the winter field has always known: to rest, to be held, to trust the dark. And as that thaw warmth spreads softly through you, the sharp edges of the world begin to blur, the way the hard lines of a landscape blur when the evening mist comes rolling in, low, across a still lake, softening everything it touches, asking nothing, hiding the far shore, until there is no longer any distance to measure, only the soft gray nearness of right now, and the quiet water, and the slow drifting of the mist. Let the mist come. There is nothing to do here, but let it come. It moves across the still water slowly, in no hurry at all, the way the night itself moves, the way the breath moves, the way everything moves. Once the racing has stopped, it does not rush to cover the lake. It just drifts. And where it drifts, the world goes soft. Watch the far shore disappear. A moment ago, you could see it, the dark line of trees on the other side, the place you thought you had to reach. Now the mist has gathered between here and there, and the far shore is gone, dissolved into soft gray, and with it goes the whole idea of a distance you must cross. There is no far shore tonight. There is only the water near you, and the mist, and the quiet. This is what the last hours of the night are for. Not for understanding, not for arriving anywhere, just for this softening, this slow dissolving of all the hard edges the day insisted on, the sharp line between where you are and where you should be, the clear distance you spent the daylight measuring. All of it goes soft now, and blurs, and drifts away into the mist, until there is nothing left to measure, and nothing left to reach, and nothing left but the gentle gray nearness of this moment, which is the only place you have ever really been. Let your thoughts grow as soft as the mist. They do not have to be sharp anymore. They do not have to be clear, or solved, or finished. They can drift the way the mist drifts, formless, slow, dissolving even as they form. If a worry rises, watch it lose its edges in the gray. If a plan starts to take shape, let the mist take it back before it can harden into something you must do. There is nothing to plan tonight. There is nothing to solve. There is only the soft water, and the soft air, and the soft, slow breath moving you deeper into rest. Notice how quiet it has become. The lake at night, under the mist, holds a silence so complete it almost has weight, a soft, heavy stillness that settles over everything. No wind, no far cries, only the faint sound of water against the shore. So gentle, you are not sure if you are hearing it or only remembering it. Let that silence settle over you too. Let it fill the room. Let it fill the spaces between your thoughts until the thoughts themselves grow further apart, slower, fewer, like the last ripples on water, finally going still. There was a time, not long ago, when a silence like this would have made you uneasy, when the quiet would have filled up with the counting, the comparing, the long, anxious list of all you had not yet done. But the counting has grown tired tonight. It has run out of things to say. It has lain down beside you in the grass at the side of the road and gone quiet at last. And in its place is only this, the wide, soft silence of the lake, asking nothing, needing nothing, just holding you in its gentle gray arms. You do not have to fill this silence. You do not have to do anything with it. You can simply rest inside it, the way the water rests inside its shore, the way the mist rests on the water, the way you are resting now, held, within, held, within, held, all the way down. Your breath is part of the mist now, in and out, slow and soft, each breath a little quieter than the one before. You are not breathing on purpose anymore. The breath is simply happening. The way the mist simply drifts, the way the water simply rests, the way the whole still night simply is, without effort, without trying, without anywhere to go. Feel how heavy your body has become, heavier than when we began. The long day has finally drained out of it, down through the bed, down into the dark, patient earth. Your arms and legs are warm and still and far away. Your face is soft. Your hands are open and empty and at rest. There is a heaviness in your eyes. You no longer need to fight. The good heaviness of a body that is ready, at last, for sleep. You can let it close over you the way the mist closes over the lake. Slowly, gently, until there is no longer any line between waking and rest, only the soft gray drifting of the two becoming one. There is nowhere you need to be in the morning that asks you to stay awake now. There is nothing you must finish before you sleep. The day is gone. The far shore is gone. The race is gone. The whole long argument about whether you are ahead or behind has dissolved into the mist, and you can let it go now, fully, without the smallest effort to hold any of it. Whatever waits on the other side of the night will still be there, and it will be met by a rested heart instead of a racing one. But that is for the morning. The morning can wait. There is only the mist now, and the water, and the slow, soft breath carrying you down. If you are still here, still drifting at the edge of the water, listen to how the night asks nothing of you. It does not need you to understand the stories. It does not need you to remember a single word. It only wants to hold you, the way the mist holds the lake, the way the dark holds the mist, the way something vast and patient and kind has been holding you all along, through every season, every winter, every slow and difficult stretch of your road. Let yourself be held like that now. Let the mist take the last of your edges. Let the silence take the last of your thoughts. Let the heaviness take the last of your effort. There is only the soft water now, and the soft gray air, and your own slow breath, drifting, drifting, like mist across a still lake, at the deep, quiet center of the night. And somewhere across that water, hidden in the mist, there is an old courtyard, and a worn stone path, and an old monk with a broom, who spent his whole long life doing one small, quiet thing, and who understood, better than anyone in the valley, why a life that looks like it has fallen behind may be the very life that has arrived exactly where it always needed to be. The old monk had swept the same courtyard most of his life. When he was young, newly arrived, the job of sweeping was given to him, the way it was given to all the new ones, and most of them passed through it quickly, on their way to other things. Some became teachers, some became scholars, copying the old texts in careful hands. Some rose to lead the monastery, to travel, to be known in far valleys. But this one monk just stayed with the broom, year after year. He swept the stone courtyard in the morning, and again in the evening, gathering the fallen leaves, the dust, the petals that drifted down from the old tree in the corner. And that was all he did. The ambitious monks sometimes pitied him quietly. They thought he had wasted his gifts. They thought he had fallen behind. That while they rose and learned and traveled, he had stayed small, stayed still, given his one life to a broom and a patch of stone. A whole life. They whispered, and nothing to show for it. No texts copied, no students taught, no name anyone would remember. He had just swept, but something happened to that monk over all those slow years, something the busy ones never noticed, because they were always passing through on their way somewhere else. In the long, simple act of sweeping, done slowly, done with care, done with no thought of getting ahead, he had found the very thing the others were chasing in their books and their travels. He had learned to be completely present in one small task. He had learned that the leaf falling and the leaf being swept were not two separate things, but one quiet motion, like breathing. He had learned that the courtyard never stays clean, that the leaves always fall again, and that this is not a failure. It is just the gentle, endless rhythm of being alive. Nothing to win, nothing to finish. Only the quiet, faithful tending of the moment in front of you. And so, without anyone quite noticing when, the old sweeper became the most peaceful person in the monastery. The other monks, the ones who had risen and traveled and made their names, began, in their later years, when their own striving had left them tired and strangely empty, to come and sit near him in the courtyard. They did not always know why. They only knew there was a stillness around him, a deep settledness, the calm of a person who had stopped racing so long ago that he had forgotten there was ever a race. They came to him with their exhaustion, their quiet despair, their sense that, for all they had done, they had somehow missed the thing that mattered. And he would just keep sweeping, slowly. And after a while, they would feel it too. The peace that has no name. And they would understand that the one they had pitied had quietly arrived, decades ago, at the very place they had spent their whole striving lives trying to reach. If you had watched him sweep, you would have seen nothing remarkable. And that was the whole of it. The slow drag of the straw broom across the worn stone, the small pile of leaves, gathered with no hurry, the pause to watch a single petal drift down and settle, and then the unbothered gathering of that one too. His face held no impatience, no sense of falling behind on some endless task. He swept the way the river flows and the way the breath moves, not to finish, for there was no finishing, but simply because this was the moment, and the moment asked only to be met. The leaves would fall again by evening. He knew this, and he did not mind. He had made his peace with a world that does not stay swept, which is to say, he had made his peace with being alive. He had not fallen behind. He had arrived first, and then waited, in the courtyard, sweeping, while the others took the long, hard road around. The life that looked like nothing was the life that held everything. The years that seemed wasted were the years most fully lived. And when, at the end of a long, quiet life, the old sweeper finally set down his broom for the last time, leaning it gently against the wall in the corner where the petals fell, he did so without the smallest fear, without the smallest sense of having missed anything, because he had not missed his life the way the busy ones had. He had been present for every ordinary moment of it. He had swept each leaf as it fell. He had been here, fully here, the whole time. Let that rest in you now, in the deep quiet of your own night, because the small voice has measured your life by what you have to show for it, the achievements, the milestones, the visible blooms. But the old sweeper had nothing to show, and he had everything that mattered. He reminds us that a life is not measured by how far ahead it gets, or how much it accomplishes, or how it compares to the lives around it. A life is measured, if it is measured at all, by how fully it is lived, how present it is to its own ordinary moments, how at peace it has become with the falling and the sweeping and the falling again. And by that measure, the only measure that was ever real, you are not behind. You may have less to show than the busy ones. You may have stayed small or still or slow while others rose. But if you have loved, if you have suffered and kept going, if you have learned even a little of how to be present to the moment in front of you, then you have been gathering the only thing worth gathering. The quiet peace the old sweeper found in his courtyard, the peace the others chased their whole lives, and only found, in the end, by sitting beside someone who had never once tried to get ahead. So let the broom lean gently against the wall now. Let the courtyard be still. Let the last leaves fall where they fall, unswept, unbothered, because the night does not need tending, and neither, tonight, do you. There is nothing left to gather. There's nothing left to finish. There is only the deep, settled peace of a life that is allowed, at last, to simply be the life it is, here, in the quiet, in the dark, waiting, without impatience, for the slow and certain coming of the dawn. So, let us set it down now, the whole of it, the way the old sweeper set down his broom, not in defeat, not in giving up, but in the deep peace of a thing that is finally done being carried. Bring to mind, one last time, everything you have been holding, and then let each thing rest. The ruler that lay against you in the dark, telling you the distance to a mark that was never real. It is on the floor now. You felt it slip from your fingers hours ago. Leave it there. The heavy book of made-up debts, with its columns of what you should have done by now. It is closed. Its ink is fading. It is resting where you laid it. Leave it there too. The race you ran against, no one, toward a finish line painted on the air. You have stepped off the track. You are sitting in the soft grass beside the road that is yours alone. There is nowhere left to run. Feel your hands as you let these things go. Really feel them. Resting open in the dark, palms soft, fingers uncurled. For so long, these hands have been gripping, clenched around the ruler, clutching the book, tight with the effort of keeping pace. Notice how they feel now, empty and open and at ease. This is what hands feel like when they finally stop holding what was never theirs to carry. Let them stay this way. Let them be the hands of someone who has put everything down. There is a kind of letting go that is not loss. The small voice always feared that letting go of the measuring would mean letting go of your life. Drifting, failing, falling away into nothing. But you have not fallen into nothing tonight. You have fallen into right now, which is the only solid ground there has ever been. You set down the imagined future you were racing toward, and what you found under it was not emptiness. It was this: the warm dark, the slow breath, the body at rest, the quiet that asks for nothing. You did not lose your life by stopping. You found it, here, where it has been waiting all along, under the noise of the counting. Let the breath carry the letting go now, the way water carries a leaf. With each slow breath out, let a little more of the holding leave you. Breathe in, softly, and on the breath out, let your shoulders fall. Breathe in again, and on the breath out, let your jaw soften. Let your hands grow heavier. Let one more thread of the old tension drain away into the dark. There is no need to force the breath. Let it be slow and easy, the way it is in deep sleep. And let each gentle breath out be a small, quiet letting go, until there is almost nothing left to release, until the breathing itself becomes the resting, and you can no longer tell where one ends and the other begins. You are here, not ahead, not behind, here, in this bed, in this dark, in this breath, in this one quiet moment, which is the only moment that has ever really existed. The past, with all its so-called lost time, is gone, dissolved, out of reach, no longer able to accuse you. The future, with all its so-called deadlines, has not come. It may never come in the shape you feared, and in any case, it is none of tonight's concern. There is only here, only now, only this, and here, now, this. You are whole, and you are enough, and you are exactly on time. Let that truth settle over you, like a blanket settling over a sleeping child. You are exactly on time. There was never a schedule you were failing to keep. There was only this one unrepeatable life, unfolding at its own pace, in its own way, arriving at each of its moments exactly when it arrived. Never early, never late, always exactly when it was always going to be. You have been on time your whole life. You just did not know it, because you were too busy measuring yourself against a clock that was never really ticking. So, rest your open hands, rest your softened chest, rest the part of you that has leaned forward, reaching for so long. There is nothing more to reach for tonight. Everything you were racing toward, you already are. Everywhere you were trying to arrive, you already stand. The long journey of catching up is over. Not because you caught up, but because you finally understood there was never anywhere to catch up to. You were always already here. Notice how strange and sweet this is. For years, you believed that rest had to be earned, that you could only stop once you had caught up, once the book was balanced, once you had finally done enough. And so, you never let yourself fully stop. But here you are, stopping anyway, without having earned it, without having finished. And the rest is just as deep, just as kind, just as available, as it would have been if you had done every single thing on the list. Because rest was never a reward for keeping pace. It was always just here, waiting, free, for anyone willing to lie down and stop running long enough to receive it. And if the old habit stirs even now, if some small part of you reaches out of long custom for the ruler on the floor, just notice it and let the hand fall open again. You do not have to pick anything back up tonight. The measuring can stay where it lies. The morning, if it wants, can hand you its clocks and its comparisons again. And you can decide then how much of it you care to carry. But here, in the dark, you owe it nothing. You can let your hands stay empty a little longer and find out how light a person becomes when they are no longer holding the weight of a race that was never real. And in that great relief, that deep and final setting down, feel something come back to you, quietly, from the very beginning of the night, the warmth in your chest, where the cold space used to open, the breath still moving, faithful as ever, the simple heartbeat, keeping its unhurried time, the whole patient, living body that has carried you to this exact moment, and that now, at last, gets to rest in the truth it knew all along, that you were never behind, that you are not behind, that you could not be behind, because there was only ever this, only ever here, only ever now, only ever you, exactly as you are, exactly where you are, exactly on time. So hear it now, softly, in the deep quiet you have come to, the simple thing this whole night has been carrying toward you. You are not behind in life, even now, even tonight, with so much still undone, with all the milestones still unreached, with all the comparisons that will surely come back in the morning light. You are not behind. You never were. And the part of you that has lain awake so many nights, counting, aching, sure it had fallen hopelessly short, can finally lay that down and rest. Let it land all the way through you, not as an idea you have to believe, as something you can feel, here, in the warm, settled body, in the slow breath, in the heartbeat keeping its faithful, unhurried time. You are not behind. The breath has been telling you this all night, just by moving, on time, every time. The heart has been telling you, beat by beat, never early, never late, always exactly when. Your own body has been quietly insisting on the truth. The whole time the mind argued otherwise. There is no race in you. There never was. There is only a life being lived, at the only pace a life can be lived. One breath, one heartbeat, one unrepeatable moment at a time. Remember everything the night has shown you, not as lessons to hold, as one quiet chord, now coming to rest. The late seeds that rose strongest, because they rooted longest in the dark. The slow stream that carved the canyon, the quick water could not. The traveler, who, by arriving late, was given the golden dusk, and the first stars, and the room that faces the dawn. The clay brought patiently to a strength that will not crack. The far starlight, never late, only deep traveled. The seasons, turning in their circle, where there is no behind. The old sweeper, who arrived first by never racing at all. They were all one truth, told many ways. And the truth was always about you. Your slowness was never failure. Your long road was never a falling behind. It was the carving, the rooting, the firing, the deepening, the patient making of a life that could only ever have taken exactly as long as it has taken. And the small lamp from the very beginning, the one in the doorway, that the young monks feared they had to keep bright enough to fill the whole night. You understand it now. You were never meant to fill the night. You were only ever meant to be your own small, faithful flame, burning where you are, in your own time, giving your own modest warmth, enough to keep the dark company, enough to let another tired soul look toward you, and remember, they are not alone. You have been that lamp the whole time. You did not need to burn brighter. You only needed to stop believing you were behind and let yourself shine the quiet, ordinary light that was always, already enough. Think, for a moment, how differently this night might have ended. You might have lain here, the way you have so many nights, with the small voice counting, the cold space widening, the morning coming like a debt you could not pay. That was the path you knew so well. But something turned to night, somewhere between the gardener's corner and the old sweeper's courtyard. The counting grew tired, the measuring slipped from your hands, and a different truth came quietly in and lay down beside you. Not because you forced it, not because you finally did enough to deserve it, but because it was always there, underneath, waiting for the noise to soften enough that you could hear it. And now you have heard it, and a part of you that has been clenched for years has begun, at last, to let go. Feel the warmth of that coming back to you now, spreading through your chest, where the cold space used to live, filling it completely. The warm certainty of a person who has finally come home to their own life. Not the cold math of lack, the warm fullness of enough. You are enough. You have always been enough. You were enough in your winters, and enough in your waiting, enough in your slowest seasons, and your latest arrivals. Enough on every single night you lay awake believing you are not leaving. The not enough was never true. It was only the ruler, lying against you in the dark, and the ruler is on the floor now. And the truth is here, warm in your chest, breathing, beating, at peace. This is what it feels like to stop running. Not the empty feeling you feared, not the falling, not the failure. This warmth, this fullness, this deep, simple peace of a person who has set down a weight they did not even know how heavy it was, until the moment their hands came open. Hold this feeling gently. Remember, even as you drift, that it was always there for you, that it asked for no achievement, no catching up, no proof. It asked only that you stop believing the one thought that was never true. There is nothing left to prove tonight. There is nothing left to reach. The promise this night made you, at the very beginning, has been kept. You came to these quiet hours feeling like you were running late for your own life. And you are leaving them understanding, somewhere deep beneath the words, that you were never late at all, that you arrived at this exact moment, exactly on time, that you are exactly where a person walking your own road was always going to be on this particular night, which is to say, here, alive, breathing, held, and finally, allowed to rest. So let the truth carry you down now. You are not behind. Let the words grow soft and far. You are not behind. Let them dissolve into the warmth and the dark until they are no longer words at all, only a feeling, only a peace, only the quiet certainty in the resting body that everything is, somehow, against all the night's old fears, exactly as it should be. You are here. You are on time. You are enough. There is nothing more for you to become before you are allowed to rest. Because the thing you were trying to become You already are. And you may rest now, all the way down into the deep, gentle sleep of someone who no longer has anywhere they need to be. There is nothing left to do now but sink. No more stories to follow. No more truths to gather. The night has given you everything it came to give, and now it asks only that you let yourself go down into it. The way a stone goes down through still water, slowly, without a struggle, without any need to choose the way. Feel the weight of your body, heavier now than it has been all night. The bed is holding all of it. You do not have to hold any part of yourself up anymore. Let your head be heavy on the pillow. Let your shoulders be heavy. Let your arms lie heavy and still, wherever they have come to rest. Let your legs grow heavy, sinking down, the whole long weight of them released at last. Let your body be as heavy as it wants to be, sinking, settling, going down into the warm dark, like a stone settling slowly to the soft floor of a quiet lake. Your breath is very slow now. You do not need to count it, or follow it, or do anything with it at all. It is breathing you, in and out, slow and deep and soft, each breath a little further down than the last, each breath carrying you gently toward sleep. There's nothing you need to do to make it happen. The breath knows the way. It has taken you down into sleep every night of your life, faithfully, and it will take you down tonight. All you have to do is let it. Let the warmth move through you, one slow last time, not as a task, just as a soft tide, moving where it will, through the heavy crown of your head, through your soft, resting face, down your loose, warm throat, your wide, soft shoulders, your heavy arms, your open hands, through the slow rise and fall of your chest, down through your warm belly, your settled hips, your long, heavy legs, your quiet feet, the whole body warm, the whole body heavy, the whole body sinking, the whole body at rest. There is nowhere the warmth has not reached. There is no part of you still holding on. You are soft all the way through, warm all the way through, heavy all the way through, ready all the way through for the deep, sweet sleep that is rising up to meet you. Let the dark grow softer behind your closed eyes. Let the room fade. Let the edges of everything blur and pull back until there is no room, no bed, no body even. Only a warm, dark heaviness. Only the slow breath. Only the deep quiet that has no edges and no end. You are sinking into it now. You can feel it taking you. There is no fear in it. There is only rest, deep rest. The rest you have needed for so long, opening beneath you like still water, ready to receive you. If a last thought drifts by, let it drift. You do not have to follow it. You do not have to answer it. It can float away into the dark while you keep sinking, slow and warm and heavy, down past the place where thoughts can reach you, down into the wordless quiet, where there is nothing to measure, and nothing to solve, and nothing to be. Only rest, only breath, only the gentle dark, holding you completely. There is nowhere you need to be. There is nothing you need to finish. The morning will come in its own time, and you will meet it in its own time. Rested, softened, no longer racing, but that is far away now, on the other side of a long, deep sleep. For now, there is only this: the weight, the warmth, the slow breath, the dark, and you, sinking gently down into all of it. Safe, held, at peace, finally allowed to let the whole of yourself come to rest. There is nothing you have to keep watch over tonight. Nothing that needs you awake to hold it together. The world will keep turning without your worry. The morning will arrive without your help. The things you have not finished will wait patiently and be no worse for the waiting. You can lay it all down, every task, every fear, every number, and trust that none of it needs you right now. The only thing being asked of you in this whole wide night is to rest. And that is a thing you already know how to do. Your body has done it every night you have ever lived. It will do it again now. The moment you stop standing in its way. Let go of the day. Let go of the week. Let go of all the years you have carried. Let them settle to the floor of the quiet water and lie still there, undisturbed, while you sink past them into a rest deeper than memory, deeper than worry, deeper than the longest count, the small voice ever made in the dark. You are below all of that now. You are in the deep, still place where nothing reaches, where nothing is owed, where nothing is late, where there is only the slow breath and the warm dark and the soft, endless quiet. And if you are not asleep yet, that is fine. You are not behind. Even in this, there is no schedule for the falling, no hour by which the sleep must come. It will come when it comes, the way everything has come tonight, in its own gentle time. And until it does, there's only the resting, which is enough, which is its own deep gift, whether or not it has yet become sleep. So do not reach for sleep either. Do not chase it the way you chased all the rest. Let it find you. Let it rise up around you on its own, the way the tide rises around a stone left at the water's edge, slowly, softly, until, without any effort at all, you are covered and carried and gone under into the warm dark, sleeping. Sink a little deeper, the breath, slower still, the body, heavier still, the dark, softer and warmer and more complete. There is no bottom to fear here, only deeper and deeper rest, a gentle, endless settling, a letting go that has no end. You can give yourself to it completely now. You can stop, fully, all the way, in every part of you that has been holding on. There is nothing left to hold. There is only this sweet sinking, this warm descent, this slow, gentle falling into sleep. And the night holds you as you fall. It has held you all along, and it holds you now. The way still water holds the stone, the way the dark holds the lake, the way the deep quiet holds everything that finally stops struggling and lets itself come to rest, somewhere far off, almost beyond hearing. A temple bell sounds once in the night, not to wake you, only to say, softly, that the night is holding steady, that all is well, that there is nothing to rise for. The single note moves out across the dark valley, over the still lake, through the quiet courtyard, where the broom leans against the wall, and it grows fainter and fainter as it travels, until it is less a sound than a feeling, a soft ring of peace, fading slowly into the great silence. Let it fade through you too. Let the last of its gentle sound carry away the last of your wakefulness, until there is only the silence it leaves behind, deep and warm and complete. The moon has risen over the mountains now, full and patient and unhurried. The same moon that has looked down on every tired soul who ever lay awake, fearing they had fallen behind. It does not count their failures. It does not measure their progress. It simply shines, softly, on all of them alike, the early and the late, the arrived and the still becoming, casting the same gentle silver light over every roof, in every valley, over the sleeping and the waking, over you, here, in your quiet room, in your warm bed, in the deep, soft dark of this particular night. The moon is in no hurry. It has all the time there is, and under its patient light, neither are you. You have all the time there is. You always did. You do not need to remember any of the stories. Let them go. The gardener and the seeds, the two streams, the late traveler, the patient potter, the old sweeper in his courtyard. They have done their quiet work, and now they can dissolve, like the bell's last note, like mist over the lake at dawn, leaving behind only what matters, which is not the stories themselves, but the soft, warm peace they carried to you. You will not need to recall a single word of them. The peace will stay, even when the words are gone. The way warmth stays in a room long after the fire has burned low, below your window, though you cannot see it. A river is moving through the dark. It has been moving all night, all your life, all the long ages before you, slow and steady and sure, never hurrying, never late, just following the land down toward the sea, the way it always has. It does not ask whether it is ahead of the rivers in other valleys. It does not measure itself against the streams that came before. It simply flows, faithfully, through the dark, carrying the moonlight on its surface, carrying the fallen leaves, carrying everything that lets itself be carried. Let your breath join that river now. Let each slow breath out be the current, moving you onward, gently, toward the deep sea of sleep, where there is no time at all, and nothing has ever been early or late, and everything simply arrives in the end, exactly where it was always going to arrive. And so, wherever you are, whatever your road has been, however late you have feared you were, let this be the truth you carry down into sleep. You are not behind. You never were. You are exactly where a life like yours, walked with the courage and the patience and the quiet endurance that yours has been walked with, was always going to be on this night. You have arrived simply by being here, breathing, resting, alive. There was never anywhere else you needed to get to first. Rest now. Truly rest. Let the moon keep its watch. Let the bell's note fade. Let the river of the night carry you on, slow and dark and gentle, the way it has carried every sleeping soul since the beginning, asking nothing, judging nothing, only bearing you softly onward toward the morning that will come in its own time, exactly when it is meant to come, to find you rested and softened and ready, and no longer racing anyone at all. Thank you for spending this small piece of your night here, in the quiet, with these old stories and this soft dark. It is a gentle thing to lie down with the heaviness you carry and let it be made a little lighter. And you have done that tonight, simply by staying, simply by breathing, simply by letting yourself be held. Carry that gentleness with you down into sleep and let it stay with you, softly, for as long as it will. May your sleep be deep and kind. May the morning meet you gently. May you wake, when you wake, with a little more of this peace still warm in your chest, a little more able to walk your own road, at your own pace, a little more free of the measuring that never once helped you. And on the nights when the old counting comes back, as it sometimes will, may you remember, even faintly, that there is a quiet place you can return to, where the ruler stays on the floor, and the bell fades softly, and the moon shines on the late and the early alike. And you are told, the way you are told now, that you have never, for a single moment of your life, been behind. Sleep now. Friend, there is nothing left to do. There is nowhere left to go. There is only the warm dark, and the patient moon, and the slow river of the night, carrying you gently down into rest. You are held. You are home. You are exactly on time. And the night will keep you. Softly, until morning. Feel how the whole of you has come to stillness now. The mind, which counted for so long, is quiet. The chest, which ached for so long, is warm. The hands, which gripped for so long, are open and at peace. There is no part of you still arguing, still measuring, still afraid of being late. There is only one tired, gentle soul, lying in the dark, breathing slowly, sinking softly, held by a night that has never once turned anyone away for arriving in their own time. You belong to this rest. It was always yours. It was only ever waiting for you to stop long enough to let it in. Let the last of the light behind your eyes go dim. Let the last of the sound fade into silence. Let the last of the holding loosen and dissolve. And let the river carry you the rest of the way, past the edge of waking, past the last soft thought, down into the deep and dreamless quiet, where you will sleep and rest and be made whole again, gently, in your own time, exactly as you were always meant to. Rest, rest, rest now, and let the rest be deep, and let it be sweet, and let it be entirely, perfectly, peacefully your own.